Good morning, my name is Mark Brennan. I'm the Operations Section Chief for CAL Fire Incident Management Team 3, and I'm going to explain our operations for today on the CZU Lightning Complex. We're seeing a lot of good progress on the fire, or the weather's been cooperating in some aspects with us as far as putting our lines in and extinguishing fire. And in other aspects, it's kind of hindering us as far as our air attack program. And I'll go into more of that later. So starting at the fire on the top in our north zone, in Division Gulf and Kilo, we have line that has been in place. It's been holding, and it's in a patrol and mop-up stage. So that's going very well for us, and that we're feeling very confident is going to hold. That was an area that we were very concerned with because it was going to threaten potentially if the fire moved beyond that point into Santa Clara County. But again, very confident with that, and we do have it staffed appropriately for a patrol and mop-up status. Moving down towards Butano Park and just around the communities of Loma Mar, there's a line that's been established with both dozer and hand line. It's set up and ready to receive the fire that is slowly backing down into the creek. And once it gets down into that area, then it's a very advantageous area for us to finish that up and put that out. So it's a little bit slow process. The weather's been kind of mitigating that advancement of the fire. But overall, it's working within our strategy, and we're hoping with the weather patterns we're going to be seeing in the next few days that we'll be able to get that down there and be fine. We are seeing a lot of hazards that are taking place in that area and throughout the fire with the falling trees. These trees have been burning for a week and a half in many areas, and it's weakened the trees, and as a result, we're starting to see these trees fail, or portions of the trees fail, which creates a significant safety concern. Unfortunately, to this point, we've had trees that have fallen down and crushed some vehicles. Fallen into some structures, and then fallen across roads that have inhibited our access. One stretch of road yesterday outside of Felton, we had a very large redwood that fire weakened and it fell. Once that was removed from the roadway, shortly thereafter another one fell. And so all that does is it takes a lot of time and effort for us to mitigate that issue so that we can travel on these roadways and road systems. Moving down the coast, we're having more success in the extinguishment of the fire. We'll continue to see that success, not only with the weather assisting us, but as we get more resources on assigning them. Some of this hasn't been as high a priority just due to the fact that with the fewer residences, the fewer population, more open ground, and the fact that it's in a lighter fuel type that we knew was going to make it and burn to Highway 1, which we used as a control point. So we weren't as concerned with that, and it's self-mitigating in many circumstances. So doing exactly what we wanted to do. Moving down to the community of Davenport, that's looking really good. The utility companies have been working diligently to get power established there. I know that they're working on the water system, which has been a challenge because that's been compromised due to the fire. So again, a lot of work being done there. We're very comfortable with the control line we have around it. The fire that is above the ridge is a slow-moving, skunking type fire. Again, being mitigated by the weather, and once the weather changes, then we'll be able to have it move down into our control lines and mitigate that threat. So still active, there is some smoke up on the ridge, but it's really nothing that we're very concerned with. Down on the southern end of the fire, our control lines continue to hold. We're continuing to see some black line in there. We're going to continue to get more black line as the days move on. The crews are in there mitigating any hot spots. It's bumped the control lines in a few places, which is exactly what we wanted to do because that's extinguished the fire. Control lines are holding. We have our secondary that's in place on the unlikely event anything ever moves past that. It is going to get wind tested. We're going to start seeing a northerly wind, northwest push starting later today and then moving throughout the rest of the week and weekend. That's going to test our lines and push some of that fire into our lines where we want it to go so we can help extinguish and mitigate that factor. And once we get that wind on there and it holds for us, that really tells us that our lines are valid and we have a good control point. Moving around Felton, we do have some good control lines established there. And yesterday we conducted a burnout operation. It's still ongoing. Had to get delayed because of the weather. Weather really wasn't cooperating. We have a good marine layer in today, we did yesterday. That stuck around for a long time yesterday. We have to wait for the conditions to be just right in order for that marine layer to burn off. We get some dry air mass in there. the fuels are dry enough that we can put fire on the ground, and it's going to be a most effective tool, and we don't create a bigger mess with that as far as creating an unburned fuel and it skunking out. So we want a nice clean burn, eliminates that fuel between the mains fire edge and our control lines that are in place. That's our goal. And we're about 90%, just speaking with the person running that operation, about 90% through that operation. So that went from Felton, Empire Grade Road, and it'll connect down below the community of Bonnie Doon, roughly back into the Highway 9, just above Highway 9, into some of our control lines there. So that's going really well. And what that'll do is put a nice buffer around the community of Felton and render that to a more safe situation. And we'll continue that operation today. Moving up towards Ben Lomond, that's really doing well. We're continuing to put line in above that, and we'll continue those operations, and we'll find opportunities where we may need to burn some of that out. So we may see some of those more operations, very small scale, as we continue up the valley up towards Boulder Creek. Again, fire is still hung up above those communities. We're taking advantage of that by putting in line. We're continuing to get more of our crews in every day, which are the ideal tool for those jobs, to get in and put line around those homes and move around those homes. Again, that's one of our challenges is there's a lot of homes scattered in and among these drainages and in these ridges and so forth. So it's a painstaking, slow process, and we have to have patience with that. Move up past the golf course, and there's been some question, what's happening up above Boulder Creek and in this area? And that's looking really good. You'll see, yeah, it has some red here, but we have a lot of line in. So from this Division Kilo break all the way down to the top end of Boulder Creek, really no significant advancement of the fire. It's doing the same thing that the rest of the fire is doing. It's creeping along. We do have crews in there that are monitoring that, and we also have crews that are establishing some control lines. You'll see these X's, some control lines in place, and as we move further up, we're going to be able to put in more robust lines. But at all parts of this fire, even though we still have limited resources and maybe it's more scattered, there are resources throughout, and monitoring those parts of the fire that we don't have a very strong presence. And if we have a need, then we can certainly adjust and move as part of our plan more resources to any areas that may find where we have some rollout or some more activity of the fire. That's part of our plan. And as we get more of these other areas that are squared away, then we have more resources to utilize. And like I said, every day we're seeing more and more. Right now we're over about 1,900 firefighters. So every day we're seeing incremental increases in that. There's been a lot of questions about the National Guard. We actually yesterday late afternoon got a couple National Guard hand crews in. So that's going to be very, very helpful to us, because we are short with the hand crews. And we are also continuing beyond that, seeing more of the CAL FIRE hand crews come in, both the firefighter crews and our CDCR inmate crews. So in a lot of this rough terrain, they're the perfect tool for the job. Bonnie Doon area is looking a lot better every day that we're out there. We're continuing to put out hot spots, continue to put in line. We have our road groups that are being able to push deeper into the interior areas of the fire, and they're opening up roads. That allows the utility companies to get in, so they can take care of all those power lines that are down and utility lines that are down, and then they can start establishing their plans and needs to start putting that infrastructure back, whether it be power, water, whatever may be, communication lines. So they're hard at work as we continue to clear in, and then our damage inspection teams are able to get in and do better assessments. They're about 55% done with their assessments. And that's why when you're seeing some of the numbers of the structures that are reported being damaged or lost, why they're going up, it's not that the fire is taking them at this point, it's the fact that we are in there being able to do an assessment and then get real-time data to come back, and that's why those statistics seem to increase. So it's not a matter that we're losing structures. We haven't lost, the fire hasn't taken any more structures over the past few days. It's just simply that we have a way that now that we can get in visually, inspect that, and find any damaged or destroyed structures. Same with Highway 236. That area Caltran has been engaged there. They're working diligently to open that roadway up. There was significant damage with downed trees, down power poles, power lines, utility lines, rocks, you name it, all kinds of debris on that. A lot of work to be done working in that highway, and Caltrans is in there working along with our personnel to keep them safe. But that's going to be a slow, arduous task because the size of some of the trees, for instance, are so large, they take hours on end just to remove just a single tree. So we're working hard at it to try to open up those areas so we can get deeper and start taking care of the issues there at hand. Our air program, we had a lot of success earlier in the week. The weather cooperated. We had really good access due to, with the air quality to get our helicopters in, what we call time them out, so operate them to the maximum hours that we can operate them per our policies and regulations. They've been flying full hours, 6 water dropping helicopters, and over the past few days, 200,000, 265,000 gallons each day. Yesterday, not a lot of production because the weather was really socked in and between the fog and the smoke, so they can't fly safely and or accurately deliver their payload. So as a result, we had to scale that back. When we did have the window opportunity yesterday, we got about 2 hours in, and we made the most that we could out of those 2 hours of time to operate the aircraft. Today, we're looking at a similar weather pattern. It's going to be later in the afternoon before they're able to fly. As soon as they're able to fly, we monitored that thoroughly with the use of our incident meteorologist and then our air program operations branch director. That individual's job is to work with the weather folks, make sure that once we can start flying the aircraft are launched and they're working diligently at suppressing fire and assisting our ground crews in that endeavor. So that's what we're looking at today. We're looking at big items, finishing up that burnout operation, continuing our hard work on the Highway 9 corridor, getting our lines in place overall where we don't have them fully established quite yet, and then our active mop-up and infrastructure improvements, and that gets us another day closer to repopulating the areas and getting this fire completed and folks back to their normal lives. Thank you.